Hey, Styx is coming to the venue at Horseshoe Casino this Friday, but on Thursday, listen to win a pair of tickets at 7:29 a.m., 10:29 a.m., and 4:29 p.m. One lucky listener will win tickets in the front row. And in the Christmas spirit, bring a new unwrapped toy to the show to benefit Toys for Tots. Always good to bring those extra toys for kids this time of year. Love that.
Yes, it is.
All right, so the funding for our government expires December 11th, John. Would that mean we see the Republicans making a decision for a government shutdown, or does Speaker Boehner's two-step plan going to pass or hold? Fox News' Mike Emanuel joining us now. Hi, Mike.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Hey, Mike. So before we get into the whole spanakopita for Thanksgiving dinner at your house, can we please talk about this government shutdown where I keep hearing the words government shutdown. I don't know what the heck they're talking about. The last time we had a government shutdown, everybody got paid. The only people who got shut out were the World War II vets, old geezers that Obama stopped from going to the monuments. Come on.
John, you're fired up this morning. Glad to hear it.
Yes, Mike.
Good morning. So, I mean, the latest from the House is that they're talking about funding the entire government, basically, through next September, through the end of the fiscal year. What they're going to pinch is Jay Johnson and the Homeland Security Department's funding and make sure that that only runs until probably March, at which point you will have a Republican House with historic numbers, and you will have a Republican-controlled Senate. Harry Reid will be less of a factor, and so they think at that point they can, take a pound of flesh out of the Department of Homeland Security for President Obama's executive action on immigration. And so some conservatives have said, that they should fight harder, that they should, basically not extend funding through September, that's what Harry Reid more or less wants. But a lot of folks realize that, if you have a countdown to a government shutdown in December heading into Christmas, that, ultimately the Republicans seem to get the blame for these things. And so why go there? Why not just get done with what you need to do and then come back in a new year with a new Congress and a new majority in both the House and the Senate, and then you can set your agenda.
And it looks like from what you said, though, Harry Reid is sort of on board with this idea.
Yeah, my understanding is I was trying to read between the lines with him yesterday because he came out and said, well, I kind of wish that they would extend Homeland Security as well. But the other option is, if he doesn't like this one, is they can do one of these continuing resolutions, which they do every so often, which would extend funding for a month or two, and then the Republican Congress takes over. And so then they may try to go after funding for everything. So for Harry Reid, he may say, okay, well, it's tough for Jay Johnson and Homeland Security, but overall the government will keep running. There will be some certainty through the end of the fiscal year. And so he sounds like he's willing to accept that.
Years ago, we actually had religion in this country, but now we have government as religion. So I guess those who would threaten government shutdown are, what, heretics? Is that why the Republicans have so much trouble in this regard with not funding government to get their... It's part of the Constitution. It is a respected understanding that they're the legislature. They could cut the purse strings in order to, in this fight between the three branches of government. Why do they constantly get killed on the PR end?
Well, that's a great question, John. And I know that, as you look at the funding of the government, there are a lot of people who don't like the government. They don't like, government waste for sure. But they also don't like when lawmakers shut it down, because there are aspects of government that do affect our lives, that some people do like, some benefits that are worthwhile. A lot of people value. And so it just seems like, when they've done this, they did it, I guess, during the Clinton years, they did it recently during the Obama years, that the president can go to the bully pulpit and blame the opposition party, and they have a hard time wiggling out of the blame. And so it's one of these things where, folks like Charles Krauthammer, who have been on our air a lot, say, and Britt Hume say, the risk is if you shut it down that you could get all the blame and there may be a political impact on 2016, and so why bother with it?
Well, and it also seems that the Republicans, even though the voters spoke and now they have the House and the Senate starting in January, that this was more of an president vote than necessarily a pro-Republican vote. So if the Republicans can just sit tight and then deal with things when they have control, they'll look better publicly.
Well, yeah, Lauren, that's an excellent point. Basically, why start off your new agenda with, a revolution or an explosion? Just get things organized, go home for Christmas, come back in a new year and set your agenda from day one and show that you can govern. Because guess what? 2014 was a favorable year for Republicans in a lot of these, conservative states for Senate races. 2016, the Republicans are going to have to defend some purple states, New Hampshire, Kelly AI, Florida, Marco Rubio, a variety, Ohio, Rob Portman. So there are some states that could be tough for Republicans to defend if they don't look like they can govern. And so a lot of folks are saying, this is not a mandate for the Republicans. It's a rejection of the way things were going with Barack Obama as president and Harry Reid as the majority leader. And so there's an opportunity here, but they'll get graded again within 2 years.
We're speaking with Mike Emanuel, Fox News. You can follow him at Mike Emanuel Fox. He's a Jersey guy from Westfield, proud Greek Orthodox, Rutgers alum, honorary Texan, et cetera, et cetera. But one thing he did tweet to me and Lauren just a few minutes ago, wait till I tell John about my family's stellar Thanksgiving spanakopita.
Yes.
Are you telling me that the Greek Indians came to the United States and helped the Pilgrims?
As a proud Greek American, I think we do like to take credit for just about everything. So you're probably right, John. But my saintly wife had my entire family down from the New York and New Jersey area for Thanksgiving, and in addition to making a heck of a bird, she also did some fresh spanakopita. And so I wish I could have saved some for you, John, because it was pretty stellar.
That's what he really wanted.
I did, because there's nothing like, when the ancient Indians with Squanto and, all that other stuff that happened back then with the Pilgrims, the buttery phyllo dough, the Indians, brushing butter on top of the phyllo, mixing the feta with the ricotta and the spinach. You know that, Mike? That's just awesome. Thanks, man.
I think you're making me and your entire audience hungry.
I'm getting hungry.
He is. That's why we're all getting quiet, Mike. We're all sort of stop talking for a minute.
When are you going to come to Chicago, Michael, so we can have some lamb chops and Lauren can have some, fish because she's, she loves the way the fish is done.
He wants to cook a goat for me on his grill, Mike.
No, I want to make goat soup for her. Achlodokabo style.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about it, Michael. Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks for having me.
See you, buddy.
Oh, it's always good to have a little Mike Emanuel from Fox News on our show.
But, he does bring up a good point. Where are the Republicans? What do they stand for, Lauren? Mm-hmm. I'd like to know that. That's one thing I don't understand. What do they stand for? Kissing butt and trying to win with a corporate hack in 2016? Or are they trying to do something? Where do they stand?
We're going to ask you that question. 312-591-8900 up next. All right, so, John, we're heading towards this deadline of December 11th where the funding's cut off, so we have to do something, or you have a government shutdown. So Speaker Boehner, is basically saying, look, let's give some extensions till September. We'll fund the government, but we'll only give extensions, let's say, for Homeland Security through March, and waiting to see if Harry Reid and the rest of Republicans are going to buy it. But part of the problem is there's division in the Republican Party. Well,
because Speaker Boehner is representative of, just as Karl Rove and others, of the big government, corporate, Republican establishment. And there are others who are conservatives who are saying, no, let's stand for something. And Charles Krauthammer and the Neocons don't want to lose their edge, so they're saying no. So all different. There's a people say it's a civil war. It's a good thing. People arguing ideas. On the other side, the Democratic Party, what's the idea? More taxes, shut up, and
they're consistent with their ideas, right?
Hands. Let's wave our hands in a no shoot thing as if it's a real, as if it's real.
Let's hear what you have to say here at 312-591-8900. Good morning, Ozzy. What do you think the Republican Party should do here?
Oh, boy, I don't know, but the answer to John's question is why they get beat up and villainized It's because the mass media is going to make certain that happens.
Well, we are the mass media, and I write for the mass media 4 times a week. I'm in the paper today. We're on the mass media now. Lauren and John.
Okay, I'm going to call the mass media the 10 to 15 minutes that people see on national TV what passes for the news these days.
Okay.
Did the mass media cover the guy who blew the whistle on Obamacare about how the voters are idiots?
Gruber? We've covered Gruber.
No, but I know what you mean, that outside of this program,
And
which
Fox
is a responsible...
News, other people aren't, right.
Well, and Fox News sometimes can be even on the other side too much, I think.
Well, sure.
Right?
No doubt about that. Hey, I got a question for you, John.
Yeah.
What's your definition of neocon?
Let's go to war. Wars are good. And I'm not for wars because I think they're politically corrosive and boys get killed. That's me.
Where did you come up with the definition?
It goes back years and years ago to a fight between Russell Kirk and Midge Decter, and someday we'll talk about the whole history of that. Okay?
Sure, I've never heard of those guys. Thanks.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Ozzy. Hey, I just want to point out, because we're going to be talking more about this in our 10 o'clock hour, but if you saw this yesterday, lawmakers did the hands-up gesture on the House floor. There was a number of them that were like Representative Hakeem Jeffries of New York in support of Michael Brown and Ferguson.
But it didn't happen that way, Lauren.
Oh, yeah?
No, it didn't happen that way with Michael Brown.
Right.
But now it's got a life of its own. It's like
on the football field.
It's like
now
the Rams
lawmakers
doing it. When are people going to start pretending they got beat up by hammers?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
When are we going to have people pretending curled in a fetal position while somebody else is beating the hell out of you with a hammer?
Hey, New York lawmakers, all that does is fan the flames, and guess what's about to explode in your back door? We'll talk about that at 10:06.
New York, Ferguson.